Gunfighters, do you want to sharpen your rifleman skills, tap into part of that American heritage of being a good rifleman? Do you want to put meat on the table for you and your family, affordably? Do you want to round out that survival gun battery? Do you want to do it with an American-made rifle? Do you want to do it with an affordable rifle? With a rifle from Walmart? That's what we're going to talk about today. Survival, training, meat on the table, affordable, both in gun and ammo, rifle from Walmart. Does that intrigue you? Well, stay tuned. That's what we're going to talk about today on Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, use of force, putting meat on the table, all manner of things the right way, with Almighty God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. I'm going to plug in the bio. If you want to skip it, skip around 2 minutes, and we'll get into the topic. I'll roll into a quick abbreviated bio and then into the main topic. First and foremost, I am a Christian. I don't apologize for that. God is number one in my life. I grew up hunting and fishing in the backwoods of the southeastern United States at a very early age. Some of my earliest memories are with firearms. I joined the Marine Corps at 17, did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. By God's grace, He got me through that safely. After that, I served as a instructor. An urban warfare instructor and a desert warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps. I also served with the LAPD, both full-time as a sworn police officer and some more specialized assignments, as well as serving in the U.S. Army, full-time and part-time National Guard. I've been a FBI firearms instructor, still am an FBI firearms instructor, have been for a lot of years. Also NRA certified and some other three-letter government agency certified. I've been a private contractor for a three-letter government agency I won't specify. I've been the commander of a tactical team in a large metropolitan area. By God's grace, He got me through all that in one piece, not because I'm better, but because He chose to have grace and mercy on me. I've been a professional hunter and guide. Professionally hunted things like buffalo and elk. Not many people today can say they've done that, but I'm blessed to be able to say that I have. I've hunted everything from white-tailed deer on the East Coast to mule deer on the West Coast to gray squirrel on the East Coast to prairie dog on the West Coast and elk and bear and wolf and slain all manner of beast. A state rifle and pistol champion a few times over in a few different disciplines. Now those experiences, it's not because I'm bigger or badder. Certainly not bigger. In fact, I met one of the patrons in real life, and he said something to the effect of, "I thought you'd be bigger." Reminded me of that William Wallace movie, where he's like, "Oh yeah, if William Wallace were here, he'd shoot lightning bolts out of his rear end." Well, I'm not William Wallace, but I am the person that did all those things in the bio. But not because I'm bigger or badder. I don't think that I survived when many other young good men did not. I give all the glory and all the credit to God, all the talents and experiences that He's given me and the things that He's let me live through. I hope to use them to glorify God and to help you today. So if I boast in anything, it's not in my strength, it's in that God had mercy on me and saved me because He had a purpose for me. And hopefully I can use those talent, skills, and abilities to serve you today. Does that sound too good to be true? A American-made affordable rifle for training, either becoming a rifleman or keeping those skills sharp, for putting meat on the table to feed one's family, just because you want healthier meat on the table, or because you don't know that you'll always be able to go to the store and get it? Very affordably. How affordably? Well, in the past couple of months, I forget if it was 2023 or 2024, I got this gun at Walmart. Now, you may not be able to get guns at Walmart. There's a whole matrix I should probably do for the patrons on indicators on whether you live in a good or bad area. A good indicator is if your Walmart sells guns. Things like that. Do they keep their spray paint behind glass? Maybe an indicator, not in the best area. Anyway, If your Walmart doesn't sell guns, you could probably get it at some other similar store that does. But it is a bolt action 22 Savage Mark II. I got it for $150 something. I forget exactly. I didn't save the receipt, but $150 something. I got a good bolt action, repeatable firepower, accurate, dependable 22 long rifle. So, American made bolt action 22 repeatable, like magazine fed bolt action 22, accurate, American made, $150 something with iron sights. With iron sights, you don't even have to put an optic on it, and it's got good iron sights. You can take it out and shoot it. You might find a better deal at a gun show or beat up old gun that needs some refinishing work or something like that. But for a brand new gun and these post-COVID prices, that's a good deal. American made. In fact, I looked at it and I thought about it for like a week, and I was like, if you guys don't know, I had some guns stolen and I was trying to replace the battery, and I thought about it for like a week, and I was like, well, how can I pass that up? Like $150 something. So I went back a week later. It was still there. I bought it. I've had it for a while. I didn't want to. I'm not the guy that just runs out and buys something and does a thing on it. I've used it. I really like it. It's a good rifle. In the pictures you'll see I painted it. I had paint. I also put a sling on it. I mean, I bought like a spool of webbing to make slings. The sling swivels I think I already had, but if you bought those it'd be like $10, and the ammo. But just a really good training rifle, especially if your big bore is a bolt action, right? Training rifle for that. Really good for learning marksmanship skills. It has iron sights, which many rifles today don't, which saddens me. Even a lot of 22s sadly don't have iron sights. And even the ones that do are kind of a hashtag me too iron sight. They're just kind of there. They're not great marksmanship sights. These are decent sights. It's a Savage Mark II if you want to know the model. They come in many different varieties. Some are more expensive than others. This is kind of like the bare bones model. Got a polymer stock. Got the non-accu-trigger. Got a matte finish. Right, but it's a good shooter. So you want a rifle to train on. You want a rifle to become a good rifleman with. Affordably. It's a good one. I'm not going to say it's the best one, but it's a good one for $150. You want to put meat on the table as a man for you and your family, good times or bad. What if that Walmart's no longer there? What if it's burnt to the ground? What if they just don't have food? Or what if you just want to put healthier meat on the table for your family than something wrapped in cellophane, covered in goo at the supermarket, right? People that want to get into hunting, and I get asked, how should I get into hunting? And I covered that when I was a guest on the Survival podcast, Guns for the Modern Survivalist. If you want to look that up it was on a different podcast. But I get many questions like that, and you might know I was a professional big game hunter and guide, hunted my whole life. People ask, how do I get into hunting? And everybody thinks deer. I want to get into hunting. I want to shoot deer. What about deer? What's the best caliber for deer? What about deer? Are you a good hunter? Probably don't start with deer. For a lot of reasons. Not the least of which is in most places the seasons are short, especially in a rifle season. So you're not going to get a lot of experience. But if you go out, let's say you work a 9-to-5 job. Even if you take a day or two off, you get a couple of weekends, a couple of days, right? How good are you going to be at something if you only do it a couple of times a year? Versus many places on small game and upland game, like here in Idaho, I can hunt grouse with a 22. A lot of places you can hunt some small game all year round without a license. So whenever you want to go out and hunt, you can hunt. You're going to get way better. And a lot of those skills transfer. How to walk quietly. How to track a wounded animal. How to be patient. How to not move when you shouldn't move. All those things. You're going to get way better at that. And you're probably, if you add up all the things you can take, you might even rival the amount of weight you can put in the freezer versus a deer if you actually get out and do it. You're going to learn a lot of those skills, and it's going to be a lot lower barrier to entry. So if you want to get into hunting, I hope that one day you will get into deer hunting if you want to, but I don't advise you start there. Start with small game. And with small game, you either go shotgun or 22. Now, I'm a big fan of the shotgun, but obviously this episode's about the 22. If you went shotgun first, I certainly would not fault you. In fact, if you don't have any guns, I would say your first gun should be a shotgun. But assuming you have a shotgun or you just want a 22 because you mostly want to become a rifleman and you might also want to hunt, getting into small game hunting, depending on, and legislation is different all over the place, right? But there's all kinds of grouse and pheasant and chukar and Eurasian collared dove. Talk about getting into hunting. Eurasian collared dove are delicious. I don't know that you could taste the difference. I don't think that I could between that and a mourning dove. But Eurasian collared doves are an invasive species. In many places, you can just shoot them, and they're delicious. They're wonderful gifts that God designed to be produced by the earth. Protein balls flying through the air for you to take. And because they have a collar on them and they came from Asia, you can shoot them in many places. Check your local laws. You may have to get a license. You may have to get a stamp or something. I don't know. But many places, they're not governed by the same laws as like a regular dove. They're an invasive species. So you can shoot them with very liberal or no bag limits. Again, check your local laws. You may have to use steel shot if you're in like California or who knows. There's all kinds of laws. But assuming you can, if you can go out and shoot in a safe manner and legally, Eurasian collared doves, that's a great way to get into hunting. They're delicious. And if they say they're an invasive species, do your part to go green, help the environment by slaying those things and putting them on the table for you and your family to eat. Dove is delicious. Plus, if you've never hunted before and you don't have a mentor, right, it could pretty daunting. I'm not telling you can't start there, but I'm saying it's probably not wise that you shoot a deer and walk up to it and have no idea how to clean it. But once you get the basics on a small animal, you can transfer those easily to a larger animal. So anyway, as much as you might want to start with deer, I would advise you to start with smaller game. Upland game birds, things like that. So the 22 is great for that, right? You look back at the Depression, like the 22 was a meat in the pot tool. It still is. It still is. This one has proven to be very accurate, very reliable, and I just have the iron sights on it now. I do have a fixed 4 that's not on anything. Now that I've been shooting with the iron sights, I may try and mount it a certain way with some see-through mounts that I already own. When you're into guns and stuff, you just kind of accumulate stuff here and there, that gun projects, and I just sold a few guns to build back up the arsenal of core guns. But anyway, I may mount a fixed 4 on it, but I'd still like to be able to use the iron sights. So I can't tell you exactly how accurate it is. It's very accurate with just the iron sights. And what's really cool is it shoots the same place for me with the, and this is just me, this rifles are individualistic. Don't think that yours is going to do the same. But it likes the Federal Auto Match, which are good and available for a good training round. And it likes the Winchester Wildcats for a good hunting round, hollow point round. Shoots them in the same place, at least out to 50 yards. And what's cool is I got it marked on the notches of the rear leaf sight. One notch is pretty well centered for 25, and the next notch is pretty well centered for 50. That is really cool. I haven't done any real long range shooting with the 22 in a while, but it'd be a fun thing to go do with this rifle, and it certainly would be fun to do. Anyway, if you're talking about like the ultimate survival 22, now you'll know if you've listened for any length of time, my go-to gun for like, I don't know, the zombie whatever apocalypse, peanut butter and chocolate hitting the fan, is generally not a 22. It's usually not even a rifle. If I was going to grab a 22 and it was like my one long gun that I could have, I would want a semi-auto. Because I might have to use it for defense, right? There's kind of this duality for survival, in my opinion. You need to put meat on the table, and you need to defend yourself. If I'm going to use a 22 for defense, it's not optimal. I want semi-auto. That being said, it's repeatable firepower. The bolt action is far better than a single shot. But especially for if you don't have a 22 and you got $200 for the rifle and some ammo or whatever it costs where you're at, it's a good deal. Talk about good deals. I figured I'd do a whole episode on this. So if you want to get into the world of 22, get into the world of putting meat on the table and doing some regular training, 22 semi-autos are great, but I don't think you're really handicapped much as far as hunting goes. And if you're wanting to train for a bolt action, a bigger bolt action, it makes sense to train with a bolt action 22 rifle. Anyway, with that, it's a cool deal. It's a cool thing to have. It's not going to be a long episode today. But it's the Savage Mark II. I got it at Walmart, $150-something. If you can't get guns at your Walmart, you can likely find them at some similar store, Academy or Big Five or whatever your support local business, whatever your local gun store has them for. But this thing, I think, as far as budget goes, punches well above its weight class. 22s are a good utilitarian part of any good survival battery anyway. And I just thought this was one that deserved a little short episode. Put a sling on it. Likely, you can make a sling. You don't need sling swivels, right? You can make your own sling swivels out of some kind of cordage that will fit in there. If you have them laying around, use them. But you can literally make a sling out of 550 cord. So don't think that you need a whole lot. You can make your own sling. You can make it out of webbing, make it out of 550 cord. If you want to get crazy and do a fun project with your kid, have them braid a 550 cord sling or something. But it's got irons. Mine was pretty well centered and free floated in the stock. Again, I painted it just because I wanted it camo. It's hopefully going to be a pretty decent hunting rifle, God willing. So I painted it. You can paint it or not. I mean, especially if you're looking into getting into painting a gun. I mean, it's a $150 gun. Take the stock off and start with it. If you don't like it, then strip it down and paint it again. But really, it comes with iron sights. Put a sling on it. Go out and zero it. Then do some practice shooting standing, kneeling, sitting, prone. The one drawback I will say on the Savage Mark II, when I looked it up, I was kind of astounded because most modern guns are safe to dry fire, but it did not recommend that you dry fire this gun. So you're going to need a snap cap or something similar to a snap cap so that you're not ramming that firing pin into the barrel. That is the one thing that's not great about it. Whereas like a 1022 or Ruger Mark IV or something, you can dry fire. They're safe to dry fire. It even says so. This one, it doesn't recommend. You do it once or twice, it's probably going to be fine, but I like to dry fire a lot. So that is one downfall maybe to this design, but I think all in all, it's a pretty good rifle. Anyway, with that, the basic, humble, very utilitarian Savage Mark II bolt action 22 rifle. With that, we'll roll into the tactical tip of the day and then the tactical verse of the day. Tactical tip of the day. There's no like group measuring commission, right? Different sports and stuff may measure it a different way, but there's a general consensus here in America how we measure groups. And the easiest way, I think, is to measure, if you're shooting a 3-shot group or a 5-shot group, measure the extreme spread, the two farthest apart rounds, outside to outside. That'll be 2 rounds. Then to get the center of the round, you subtract the diameter of 1 round. Get as obnoxious rounding as you want with that. But let's say you shot an exactly 1-inch group outside to outside with a 22. You would minus 0.22 inches. And what did you get? 0.88 inches of a group at whatever distance you shot it at. Anyway, that's, if you don't know, if you're new and you're getting into rifles and you want to know how to measure a group, that's generally what people talk about. If they talk about MOA, and it's not exactly, but it's close enough. In general, it means that like 1 MOA is 1 inch. So that rifle shot 1 inch at 100 yards. Now at 200 yards, 1 MOA is going to be 2 inches. That can get kind of confusing. If it shot 1 inch at 200 yards, 1 inch at 200 yards, that would be half MOA. But and it's not exactly, but close enough to if you want to just round it. Whatever it shoots at 100 yards in inches, that's roughly your MOA. If it shoots 2 inches at 100 yards, it's 2 MOA. Anyway, some real basic on how to measure groups and MOA right there for you. Your tactical verse of the day. Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their lawless deeds I will remember no more. Amen to that. What a loving, powerful, merciful God. He has many attributes, but it says he is rich in mercy. And it's a good thing because I sure need it. And you do too. It's a good thing that we serve a good God. With that, thanks for listening and have a blessed day.